In the heart of Crestview, a Midwestern town where American flags adorned porches but fear shadowed the streets, Jamal Carter carried the weight of his past with quiet dignity. A black Marine veteran of 12 years, Jamal had faced enemy fire in distant deserts, his special ops training forging a man of steel resolve. Now 34, he'd returned to Crestview, his hometown, seeking peace as a security consultant. His evening runs through Veterans Memorial Park with his German Shepherd Titan were a ritual of solace, his dog tags clinking softly with each step, a reminder of battles survived and a life reclaimed. But Crestview was no sanctuary. The police department under Captain Victor Kane was a fortress of corruption, its officers wielding badges as weapons to intimidate black and brown communities. To Kane, Jamal's press suits, military credentials, and steady gaze were not signs of honor, but threats to his unchecked power. Jamal felt the town's undercurrent of dread every time he ran. Police cruisers prowled Veterans Park, their headlights lingering on him and Titan like predators sizing up prey. At the community center, veterans whispered of harassment, false arrests, and evidence that vanished into the precinct's black hole. Jamal recognized the pattern from war zones, power corrupted, and Crestview's police were no exception. "Stay sharp, boy," he murmured to Titan, scratching the dog's ears as they cooled down one October evening. The air was crisp, and Jamal's combat-honed instincts prickled with unease. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching, waiting. He didn't know it yet, but tonight would ignite a fire that would burn Crestview's corrupt empire to the ground. Driving home, Jamal stopped at Crestview's only 24-hour gas station to fill up. The lot was nearly empty, save for a police cruiser parked near the convenience store. Through the store's grimy windows, he saw two officers cornering a black teenager in a Letterman jacket, their stances aggressive. "Where'd you get that jacket, kid?" "Looks stolen," one officer barked. The boy, Marcus Williams, no older than 15, raised trembling hands, his voice cracking. "It's my school jacket, sir. I'm on the football team. I can show my ID." The second officer snapped, "Keep your hands where they are." Marcus flinched, his back pressing against the wall as if he could disappear. Jamal's jaw clenched, a familiar mix of anger and resignation surging within him. His special ops training screamed to intervene, but Crestview had taught him a bitter lesson. Heroes paid a price here. He swiped his card at the pump, keeping the scene in his peripheral vision, memorizing the officers' badge numbers, Thompson and Reed, and noting their body cameras were off, a hallmark of Kane's brazen corruption. Jamal was 3 blocks from home when red and blue lights flashed in his rearview mirror. He checked his speed, exactly 35 miles per hour. Registration current, lights functioning. Yet he knew what was coming, as predictable as a script he'd lived too many times. Pulling over smoothly, he kept his hands visible on the steering wheel, Titan stirring but silent in the back seat, trained for tense moments. Captain Victor Kane approached, hand resting unnecessarily on his holster, his swagger that of a man who believed himself above the law. "License and registration," Kane demanded, his flashlight beam blindingly bright in Jamal's face, moving to Titan before returning to Jamal's eyes. "May I ask why I'm being pulled over, sir?" Jamal asked, his voice steady, professional, a tone he'd perfected to navigate stops like this. Kane's lips curled. "Suspicious vehicle in a high-crime area," he said, the lie dripping with contempt. "License. Now." Jamal reached slowly for his wallet, announcing each movement. "I'm getting my ID from my back pocket, sir." He handed over his license, registration, and military ID, a habit from years of similar encounters. Kane studied the IDs with exaggerated scrutiny, turning them over as if expecting forgery. "Military, huh? Special ops?" His tone was thick with skepticism. "These look suspicious. Where'd you get these made?" Jamal's pulse quickened, but he kept his voice level. "Those are legitimate federal IDs, Captain. I served 12 years, discharged honorably. You can verify with—" Kane cut him off, yanking the door open. "Step out of the vehicle, now." A second cruiser pulled up, its lights painting the street in rhythmic menace. Jamal complied, moving with careful precision, Titan growling low but staying put. "Sir, I haven't committed any offense," Jamal began. But Kane's hand shot out, grabbing his arm roughly, trying to spin him around. Jamal's combat reflexes instinctively pulled him free, a natural response Kane had anticipated. "Resisting!" Kane shouted, though Jamal had frozen, hands raised. Officer Thompson rushed in, and suddenly Jamal was slammed face first onto the pavement. His dog tags snapped, scattering across the asphalt like shattered promises. Kane drove a knee into his back, fists crashing into his ribs, blood filling Jamal's mouth as he tasted the gritty street. "Stop resisting!" Kane yelled, though Jamal lay still, his mind flashing to war zones where survival meant staying present, controlling the panic. Cell phones clicked from the growing crowd on the sidewalk, voices rising in protest. "Everyone back!" Thompson barked. "Turn those phones off!" Through swollen eyes, Jamal saw his broken dog tags glinting under streetlights, Titan's desperate howls fading as they shoved him into the cruiser, the cold bite of handcuffs cutting into his wrists. The Crestview precinct was a labyrinth of corruption, its fluorescent lights harsh and unforgiving. Blood dripped from Jamal's split lip as Kane paraded him through the bullpen, officers either averting their eyes or smirking with subtle approval. The booking room smelled of ink and despair, where Officer Reed pressed Jamal's fingers onto the fingerprint card with deliberate force, smearing the prints to justify repeating the process, each movement a reminder of Jamal's powerlessness. Kane entered, holding Jamal's military ID between two fingers like it was contaminated. "Well, well, the great American hero," he sneered. "Special Ops, Blackhawks, must think you're some movie star." Jamal kept his face neutral, his pulse steady despite the pain. "My service record is verifiable, Captain. One call to the Pentagon." Kane's laugh was sharp. "The Pentagon? You're committed to this story, aren't you?" He turned to the officers. "Bet he bought this fancy ID online to scam free drinks." The holding cell was a concrete cage, occupied by 5 men, mostly black and Hispanic, each with stories mirroring Jamal's. Minor infractions ballooned into resisting arrest, vague suspect descriptions, charges that appeared from nowhere. Among them was Marcus Tate, a homeless veteran Jamal had helped at the Crestview shelter. "Man, what are they doing to you?" Marcus whispered, his eyes wide with recognition. "Picking up a decorated vet like you? That's going to bring heat." Jamal nodded, cataloging the cell's layout, the guards' patterns, the cameras that never blinked. His military training kicked in. Name, rank, serial number, the basics of survival in captivity. Only this time the enemy wore badges, and the war zone was the streets he'd sworn to protect. Officer Laura Hayes, a 26-year-old rookie with 6 months on the force, sat at her desk, her stomach churning. She'd joined to serve, inspired by her father, a retired cop who believed in justice. But Crestview's precinct was a betrayal of that ideal. Kane's cruelty, Thompson's complicity, Reed's casual brutality. It was all routine, and Laura's silence had made her complicit. Tonight, watching Jamal's calm defiance even as blood streaked his face, something shifted. As Kane boasted about planting a stolen wallet and knife in Jamal's car, Laura's phone, hidden in her pocket, recorded every word. Her hands trembled. She was risking her career, her safety, maybe her life. But Jamal's unbroken spirit stirred her conscience. She wasn't alone in her resolve. Aisha Carter, Jamal's older sister and a tenacious journalist, got word of his arrest from a neighbor who'd filmed the scene. She stormed the precinct, her voice cutting through the late-night buzz. "My brother is a decorated veteran. You have no right to hold him without charges." Kane's response was a low threat, but Aisha was undeterred. "I'm a journalist, Captain, and this story won't stay buried." "Say that again. I'd love to quote you." Her article, published online within hours, went viral, detailing Jamal's arrest, Kane's corruption, and Crestview's history of targeting black residents. It reached Colonel Rachel Stone at the Pentagon, who read it with a tightening jaw. "Get me everything on Crestview's police," she ordered her aide, "and contact the FBI. I want eyes on that precinct by morning." Kane, sensing the storm brewing, grew desperate. In a dark interrogation room, its camera conveniently off, he loomed over Jamal, who sat cuffed to a metal chair, ribs aching from the beating. "Confess to the robbery, hero," Kane growled, his fist slamming into Jamal's side, "or you won't see morning." Jamal spat blood onto the floor, his voice steady despite the pain. "You know what we learned in Special Ops? Every man breaks, but the real test is what you do after." The words rattled Kane, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his eyes. He didn't know Laura's recordings were streaming to a secure server, capturing his every threat, every illegal order. Aisha, dodging officers sent to raid her apartment, slipped out the fire escape with her laptop, sending her evidence to the FBI. Across town, FBI agent Lisa Morgan assembled a rapid response team, fueled by Colonel Stone's call and Laura's damning files. The precinct's night shift buzzed with tension. Officers shredded documents, wiped computers, and whispered nervously as rumors of federal involvement spread. Kane gathered his loyalists, Thompson, Reed, and a handful of others in his office, his voice low but frantic. "Cole's a problem, but if he confesses, their hands are tied. Plant the evidence, make it clean." Thompson nodded, slipping out to the impound lot where Jamal's car waited, Titan already taken to animal control despite Aisha's protests. Under the spare tire, Thompson planted a stolen wallet and a knife, time-stamped to match the fabricated robbery. Laura, pretending to file reports, overheard fragments, her phone capturing it all. She knew one wrong move could end her, but each recording was a step toward justice. In the holding cell, Jamal observed the changing dynamics. Marcus Tate had been released, whispering before he left, "Word's getting out, brother." "The streets are talking." Jamal nodded, his military bearing intact despite the pain. He noticed Laura's subtle glances, the way she lingered near the cell with a first aid kit, cleaning his cuts with gentle hands. "This isn't right," she whispered so quietly he almost missed it. "Then do something about it," he replied, just as soft. Their eyes met, a silent pact forming. Laura slipped away, her phone now holding videos, audio, and falsified reports, enough to bury Kane's precinct. Around 2 a.m., Aisha returned with a senior reporter from the Crestview Chronicle, their presence rattling Kane. "The story's going live tonight, Jamal," Aisha called out before Kane had them escorted out. "People will know the truth." Kane's response was to double down. He approached Jamal's cell, twirling his military ID. "Had a chat with your sister," he said, his tone conversational but his eyes hard. "Quite the family, a wannabe soldier and a muckraking journalist. But we've got a robbery case, and guess what? Evidence in your car matches you perfectly." The threat was clear. They were framing him for more than resisting arrest. Jamal remained silent, which infuriated Kane more. "You've got a choice, hero. Confess, or we do this the hard way." As Kane walked away, Jamal caught Laura slipping into a side room, phone in hand, her posture suggesting a covert call. The cracks in Kane's system were widening. By dawn, the precinct was a pressure cooker. Kane's officers grew sloppy, their arrogance giving way to panic as reports of FBI presence trickled in. Laura, working late, uploaded her final evidence to a secure cloud drive, her hands trembling as she typed a statement documenting weeks of misconduct. A shadow fell across her desk. Thompson, his voice low. "Working late, Hayes?" "Marshall wants reports to match. No discrepancies." Laura nodded, her screen already dark. "Just finishing, sir," she said, her finger pressing send. The files were beyond Kane's reach now, streaming to the FBI, Aisha, and Sarah Jordan, a civil rights attorney who'd taken Jamal's case. At 6 a.m., the FBI struck. "Federal agents!" echoed through the precinct as doors burst open. Officers froze, some raising hands, others reaching for weapons, only to find themselves outnumbered. Computers were seized, files boxed, and Kane's loyalists cuffed. Agent Lisa Morgan led the raid, her team uncovering hidden rooms with unlogged drugs and weapons, computer files showing years of tampered evidence, and a locked cabinet filled with confiscated IDs, veterans, minorities, lives disrupted by Kane's corruption. Colonel Stone arrived, her presence a thunderclap. "This isn't just a precinct," she told Morgan. "It's a criminal enterprise." Jamal, still in his cell, stood as Stone approached, flanked by agents. "Staff Sergeant Carter," she said. "Sorry we're late." He offered a crisp salute despite his injuries. "Better late than never, ma'am." Kane, in handcuffs, watched his empire crumble, his final glimpse of Jamal one of unbreakable resolve. News cameras swarmed outside, Aisha coordinating coverage that broadcast Crestview's reckoning nationwide. Laura emerged as a whistleblower, her evidence the backbone of the federal case. The precinct's corruption was laid bare. Millions in bribes, false arrests, entire communities targeted. Sarah Jordan filed motions to overturn hundreds of tainted convictions, each a step toward healing. Crestview transformed in the aftermath. Laura helped reform the department, training officers to serve, not oppress. Aisha's scholarship fund gave kids like Marcus Williams a path to college, breaking cycles of injustice. Jamal, working with the Pentagon, shaped new protections for veterans, ensuring no soldier would face what he did. Months later, Jamal stood at Veterans Park, where his ordeal began, addressing a crowd of veterans, activists, and residents. The park, once a place of fear, was now a symbol of renewal, with community officers waving to kids and body cameras proudly displayed. "One voice can change a city," Jamal declared, his restored dog tags catching the sunlight. "One stand can bring justice. What will you stand for?" His words, amplified by black voices, ignited a movement, proving that truth, when spoken boldly, can topple even the mightiest corrupt empires. Crestview's streets, once shadowed by fear, now buzzed with hope. Children played after dark, elders sat on porches, and neighbors reclaimed their community, unafraid. 6 months had passed since Crestview's reckoning, when Jamal Carter's wrongful arrest exposed Captain Victor Kane's corrupt empire, sending shockwaves through the Midwestern town. The once oppressive Crestview Police Department was under new leadership, with Officer Laura Hayes spearheading reforms, mandatory body cameras, de-escalation training, and community outreach that replaced fear with trust. Jamal, now a consultant for the Pentagon's veteran protection programs, stood as a symbol of resilience, his restored dog tags a quiet testament to battles won. His sister, Aisha Carter, had turned her viral journalism into a scholarship fund, sending kids like Marcus Williams, the teen harassed at the gas station, to college. Veterans Memorial Park, where Jamal's ordeal began, buzzed with life. Children laughed, elders played chess, and community officers waved, their presence no longer a threat. Yet beneath Crestview's healing surface, shadows lingered, remnants of Kane's influence plotting to reclaim power and unravel the fragile progress. Jamal felt the tension during his evening runs with Titan, his German shepherd, through the park's winding paths. The air was warm with summer's promise, but whispers at the community center spoke of strange incidents: anonymous threats to Laura's precinct, slashed tires on Aisha's car, and cryptic messages scrawled on the scholarship fund's office door. Truth doesn't last. Jamal's special ops instincts, sharpened by years in war zones, sensed a coordinated effort. "They're testing us," he told Aisha over dinner at their childhood home, his voice low. Aisha, her laptop open to new leads, nodded grimly. "Kane's locked up, but his allies aren't. Someone's pulling strings." She'd been digging into financial records, uncovering payments to a shadowy group called the Crestview Preservation League, a front for former officers and local elites loyal to Kane's old regime. The League's goal was clear: sabotage reform and restore the old order. Laura Hayes felt the pressure at the precinct, where her reforms had earned both praise and enemies. As the youngest sergeant in Crestview's history, she'd become a target for those who resented change. Late-night calls warned her to watch her back, and internal reports showed missing body camera footage from routine patrols. One officer, Brian Coulter, a holdover from Kane's era, was particularly hostile, his smirks and muttered comments about outsiders a constant challenge. Laura confided in Jamal during a community safety meeting, her voice steady but eyes tired. "I'm not backing down, but it's like fighting ghosts. Kane's gone, but his playbook isn't." Jamal placed a hand on her shoulder, his Marine resolve unwavering. "Ghosts bleed, Laura. We find their source. We end this." The first major blow came at the Scholarship Fund's annual gala, held at Crestview's Community Center to celebrate its first graduates. Aisha, radiant in a navy dress, gave a speech about Marcus Williams, now a freshman at Howard University, his football scholarship a testament to her fund's impact. The crowd, veterans, families, local leaders, cheered, but the mood shifted when the lights flickered, then died. A projector screen, meant to display Marcus's story, flashed with grainy footage of Jamal's arrest, manipulated to paint him as the aggressor, followed by text: "Crestview's heroes are frauds." Gasps rippled through the room. Aisha froze, her journalist instincts kicking in, while Jamal scanned the exits, spotting a hooded figure slipping out. "Stay with the crowd," he whispered to Laura, who'd been mingling in uniform. He and Titan pursued, weaving through the center's halls, but the figure vanished into the night, leaving a spray-painted message on the wall: "Kane's justice returns." The sabotage sparked outrage, but also fear. Social media buzzed with the doctored footage, sowing doubt about Jamal's heroism and Aisha's credibility. The Crestview Preservation League issued a statement, thinly veiled as concern. "We demand transparency about those reshaping our town." Aisha traced the footage to an anonymous server, its IP linked to a property owned by Nathan Hargrove, a wealthy contractor and Kane's former ally. Hargrove had avoided charges during the FBI raid, his influence shielding him, but Aisha's research uncovered his funding of the League and payments to Coulter. "He's the money," she told Jamal and Laura at her office, spreading documents across the table. "Hargrove's bankrolling a campaign to discredit us and destabilize reform." Jamal's eyes narrowed. "Then we hit him where it hurts. His secrets." Laura took a risk, planting a discreet audio recorder in Coulter's patrol car during a shift change. The device captured a late-night call between Coulter and Hargrove, their voices crackling with urgency. "The gala stunt worked," Coulter said. "People are questioning Carter. Keep pushing the narrative." Hargrove's reply was cold. "I want Hayes out of the precinct and Jamal back in cuffs. Use the package I sent. It's enough to bury them." Laura shared the recording with Sarah Jordan, the civil rights attorney from Part 1, who'd become a key ally. Sarah filed an emergency injunction to seize Hargrove's financial records, but warned they'll escalate. "Be ready." Laura nodded, her rookie idealism now tempered by resolve. "I've faced worse," she said, glancing at Jamal, whose quiet strength anchored them all. The package Hargrove mentioned arrived days later. A fabricated police report, leaked to a local tabloid, claiming Jamal had assaulted an officer during a recent community event, with forged body camera footage to match. The report named Laura as a witness, twisting her reforms into complicity. The story spread like wildfire, amplified by bots linked to the Preservation League. Protests erupted outside the precinct, some demanding Laura's resignation, others chanting for Jamal's arrest. Aisha countered with a live stream rebuttal on Black Voice's YouTube channel, debunking the footage frame by frame, but the damage was done. Trust in Crestview's reforms wavered. Jamal, meeting with Colonel Rachel Stone via video call, sensed a deeper play. "This isn't just about me," he told her. "They're targeting the idea of change itself." Stone agreed, dispatching a Pentagon liaison to coordinate with the FBI, who were building a RICO case against Hargrove's network. Jamal, acting on a tip from Laura, tracked Coulter to a warehouse owned by Hargrove, where the League stored equipment for their smear campaigns: servers, forged documents, even burner phones. With Titan at his side, Jamal infiltrated the warehouse, his special ops training guiding him through security cameras and tripwires. Inside, he found a ledger detailing payments to Coulter, local media, and a hacker group spreading the fake footage. As he photographed the evidence, Coulter appeared, gun drawn. "You're persistent, Carter," he sneered. "Hargrove said you'd come." Jamal's calm reply disarmed him. "And you're predictable. Drop it." Titan's low growl sealed the standoff, Coulter lowering his weapon as Laura and FBI agents, tipped off by Jamal's burner phone, stormed in. The warehouse raid was the final nail in Hargrove's coffin. FBI agent Lisa Morgan, leading the operation, arrested Coulter and seized the ledger, which unraveled the Preservation League's network. Hargrove, cornered at his mansion, attempted to flee but was apprehended at a private airstrip, his private jet grounded. The FBI's RICO case exposed his funding of illegal surveillance, bribery, and voter intimidation to block reform-minded council candidates. Crestview's mayor, shamed by ties to Hargrove, resigned, paving the way for a community-led election. Laura's reforms gained national attention, earning her a DOJ grant to train other departments. Aisha's scholarship fund expanded, opening a youth center where Marcus mentored kids, his arrest overturned. Jamal, honored by the Pentagon, launched a national veterans advocacy group, ensuring no soldier faced Crestview's injustices. At a rebuilt Veterans Memorial Park, Jamal addressed a crowd on the anniversary of his arrest. The park, once a place of fear, was now a beacon of hope. New playgrounds, a mural of Marcus's story, and a statue honoring whistleblowers like Laura. "Crestview taught us that justice isn't given. It's fought for," Jamal said, his dog tags catching the sunlight. "Every voice matters. Every stand counts." The crowd roared, their unity a shield against the shadows that had nearly reclaimed their town. Crestview's streets, once silent with fear, pulsed with life. Neighbors rebuilt trust, kids dreamed bigger, and Black voices rose, unbroken. This story is just the beginning for Black voices. If Jamal Carter's fight for justice moved you, join us in amplifying Black resilience, courage, and change. Subscribe to Black Voices on YouTube for powerful narratives that shine a light on stories the world needs to hear. We're here every week, exposing truth and inspiring action. Hit that like button, share this video, and comment below. What's a story of justice you want to tell? Let's make truth go viral together. Join Black Voices and be part of the revolution.